Mike, what's your reaction to yesterday? What a day.
So I'll give you my take, try to come in with a nice tight take, and you guys can tear it apart. I think I saw it as a combination of 2021 when they came out of the gate strong with Matthew Judon, Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, Devon Godchow, and 2001 when they flooded the zone with Bobby Hamilton, Anthony Pleasant, Roman Pfeiffer, Brian Cox. So I saw
Terrell Buckley,
aggressive, like culture, some culture guys. So like I look at my 2001 approach for this year, like culture guys. I heard
Mike Vrabel,
Mac Hollins, like that's a culture.
He's
guy.
a tough kid, Mike.
Right? Robert Spillane, like that's a culture guy. A Vrabel guy. When you think about what Vrabel wants his team to be, like those guys play that way. Morgan Moses, I would actually even put in there. I mean, just sort of like been around the block. Sort of, I was thinking he's like Al Horford in a way. Like the sage veteran who you're like, is he going to be able to be out there?
No, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's got a great reputation as a top-notch locker room type of guy, right?
Correct. So those are my 2001 culture guys in this class. And then the 2021 pay big, Milton Williams is my Matthew Judon. Like you're just paying top of the market. Yeah. You don't want to be denied. Carlton Davis, the corner, he'd be my Hunter Henry, so you're paying. And I think what I like that they did was in a not so great free agent class, they picked through it for some of the limited quality, and they got, I heard you say, Zoe, maybe 4 starters out of it, and that's what they need because it's not a great roster, and they have more work to do.
Right. You still have a ton of holes on offense, but it's interesting. This Moses kid at right tackle, like the right tackle position is so different than the left tackle position to me. Left tackles are almost like receivers. They're a little bit egotistical. They're one of the highest paid guys on the team because they're out there and all eyes are on them. Right tackles are more of just the grinder type. I'll put 2 knee braces on. Yeah, I got a little pain in my leg today. We'll shoot it up. I'll just go and play, and we'll get after guys. Like they're tougher.
I was thinking about Morgan Moses, and I was like 34 years old, played through a torn pec 2 years ago in Baltimore, had a sprained MCL last year, and I was thinking about, like, he's like a car that's got like 180,000 miles on it. You're like, I want to get to 200.
It's a Ford Taurus.
Like, let's go, So, like, I want to get to 200, and you're hoping you get there. Your fingers are crossed.
That's right.
And so this gets actually to my nitpick on the free agency.
Mike has a complaint.
Outside.
Wow. Mike hates this pick.
Outside of the obvious, which I think everyone, what's the obvious nitpick?
They did not acquire a left tackle or top flight receiver.
Correct.
And we keep saying the offseason's not over yet.
Right.
But to this point, that hasn't happened.
And I think that's the obvious one. So if Ronnie Stanley made it to the market, if Chris Godwin didn't want to go back to Tampa, we might have a whole different discussion. But no one wants to hear about what could have been. It's what they did, right? So to me, that would have been perfect.
I can't blame them if they offered Godwin like $20 million more than what he got.
And honestly, so that's true. But no one wants to hear it. They didn't get him, and so here's my nitpick. Other than the obvious, the players that they invested in, they're all a little bit older, and I don't know if you agree with this, or maybe I'm dealing other than Milton Williams, who's 25. But maybe I'm an outdated philosophy, but I remember I thought it was Parcells who used to say, the one thing you don't want to do in free agency is voluntarily make your roster older, because this is a young man's game. And if you look at who they invested in, I mean, Mac Hollins turning 32, Harold Landry turning 29 in June, Robert Spillane turns 30 in December, Carlton Davis turns 29 in December. Moses is 34. That's what sort of got me thinking about this. So they're older guys.
Which signing do you like the least out of the older guys?
Which one do I like the least?
I can tell you which one I like the least, and it's Davis.
I do yours.
I feel like that's a deal that's going to burn them.
Why do you say that?
Because he's older.
And he's never played a full season.
And he's never played a full season. And he also is being cut loose by a team that is good and had no problem letting him walk out the door.
Yeah.
And so I worry about that one. That's not Revis. That's not.
No, I didn't.
That's not the corners they have signed over the years to go. That's not Gilmore.
Yeah.
Right? How old was Gilmore when they got him?
So he was a 2011. So they got him in like his 5th or 6th year. So he would have been
27, 28.
Again, and I'm still glad that they went out and signed the guy. It makes them better. When he's on the field, they'll be better because they have him. I think there's some considerable risk in that contract that they signed him to. That's all I'm saying.
Gilmore was 27.
He was 27, a couple years younger.
So, like, you gotta take these type of chances with the spot you're in. Like, that's part of it.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad they spent the money, and I'm glad, hey, this guy's available. We think he makes us better. We're willing to take on the risk. You know what that is? That's what the Red Sox won't do anymore. And so I appreciate when a team takes on risk. But in terms of gauging which are the safe bets, I think he's the least safe of the big money they spent.
I'll say this to you.
That's a risky one.
I'll say this to you. As much as you talk about Carlton Davis that way, he's the most popular name that I know of the free agent signings, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like you said, Carlton Davis right away, I knew, that's 24 from Tampa. I remember watching him a lot. I remember now, he went to Detroit. Like, I don't know that much about Milt Williams. I don't know that much about Spillane. Like, I had to learn about it. I do know a little bit about Mac Hollins because we played against him and he's made some plays against us. I get that. Like, Mac Hollins and Carlton Davis are like the names that I do recognize.
But that's such low risk. I love it. How could you not? 2 years, $8 million. Like, what a I feel like that's a steal for them. They're going to love that.
You see that, Bourne should be going, uh-oh.
So Beetle, was your original question, which deal do I not like? Did it have to be a big money deal, or could I put Josh Dobbs in there? Like,
you could absolutely put Josh Dobbs in there.
Put Josh Dobbs in there. My thought being like, why? And I
what do you mean why?
Talking, well, I like what they have in Drake and Joe Milton, and so to me, I mean, it's not big.
You don't think you need an experienced veteran guy to help just ease the room instead of just two brand new brash young guys?
I guess I could see it, but and then I look at it and say, like, they paid him pretty good money, though.
You don't think they're going to? Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Don't you think they're going to deal Milton now because of that?
They could do that, and I guess my thought would be why, unless you're getting a really good. It would have to be a really good asset to me.
Like a fourth?
A fourth would probably be the least that I would take, right? Like that would be my line.
Mike, I think they're going to get it.
You think they'll get a fourth?
I think they only did this because they know what they're about to get for him.
Yeah.
I think they're about to do a good deal for
Ship
him.
to Pittsburgh for a 4.
What you think, a 4? A 4 would that do it for you?
Pittsburgh has no quarterback.
It would.
Pittsburgh has no quarterback. Give me a 3.
I think there's a chance they could do better.
Give me a 3.
Wow.
All right, so don't rule that out.
So that would,
and if they do better, I think they're going to look great on that.
So I would revise my pick if that's
okay.
The next,
like that.
If that's coming, but
subject to change.
And I want to give two things on this. Like the Harold Landry one makes me a little nervous. Just talking to people in Tennessee that say he hasn't been the same since the torn ACL. Mm-hmm. I haven't watched him closely, so you talk to people down there. So that would be the one that gives me a little pause. I still
I don't think he's missed a game in 2 years. Like that's
and he's
coming off the
ACL.
Sacks.
Yeah. So it's like. But people that are watching him play by play say maybe the burst isn't the same as it was before. So we'll keep an eye on it. And the Carlton Davis one, and I don't know, do you guys like the stats from like next gen?
No, I don't
sometimes.
Care. Yeah, I really don't care.
I think they're interesting. Why do you
so
not
there's
like
one
them?
of them. Well, I do, and there's one of them with Carlton Davis where he's within like the top 5 in the last season of lowest completion percentage against as nearest defender. So I think Christian Gonzalez was ranked either 2nd or 3rd best.
This is the one ranking I read on where these two guys are in the top 10.
And Carlton Davis was like 5th or 6th. So the idea, Beetle, if you put Gonzalez on one side, Carlton Davis, if he's healthy and playing at a high level on the other, I was thinking back to your...
That's when I was in Miami with Patrick Surtain and
Sam Madison.
I
was literally going to say the same thing. I was going to try to go right back to Zoa's playing days.
I had to go against those guys in practice every day. I don't think I completed a pass. Like, Jesus, come on. But I mean, they tell you where to circle the card and where to throw it now.
This isn't fair.
I did it here. Like, I go for Chris Canty breaking his ankles to.
Didn't Tom used to talk about how Brady talk about those going up against those two guys?
Yeah.
That was the toughest, one of the toughest.
You have Jason Taylor and you had Tim Bowens at the time was their big nose tackle, and Jason Taylor, and you got little Zach Thomas, and they had those two guys, and they had good safeties too down there. Like they had a good defense. Really good defense.
So, Beetle, that's a little bit of the counter on Carlton Davis, but I see what you're saying because he's never played a full season, and he also talked about wanting to cash in.
I mean, they gave him a lot of money.
I see what you're saying.
And so I just in terms of if it were a different contract, I don't think you'd be talking about it in those terms. But I do think, given the amount of money they committed to him, it's a bit of a risky deal there that they signed. But I appreciate that risk. I appreciate them still going for it because they desperately need talent, and they're a lot better with them than what they currently have. So we'll get into that with Mike. We do want to, of course, talk about that big signing yesterday, Milton Williams, that really caught a lot of attention, was their splashy move of the day.